I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For a monster from its slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash.
he did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From the laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abode to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging sounds. He got on chains backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with the vocal, the Crypt Kicker 5. They played the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. They played the monster mash. Out from his coffin Drac's voice did ring. Seems he was troubled by just one thing. He opened the lid and shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvanian kiss?"
It's now the mash.
It's now the monster mash.
The monster mash.
And it's a graveyard smash.
Now the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
Now the mash.
It's now the monster mash. Now everything's cool, Drac's a part of the band. And my monster mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them Boris sent you.
Then you can mash.
Then you can monster
The
mash.
monster mash.
And do my graveyard
Then you
smash.
can mash.
You catch on in a
Then
flash.
you can mash.
Then you can monster mash. Oh, mash good. Easy, Igor, you impetuous young boy. Mash good, mash good.
Monster mash.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, iRacing fans from around the world, welcome to a very special event tonight. Live broadcast by KMA TV. I am Scott Kolovic, your announcer for the evening. Joining me in the booth is my good friend Cody. How are we doing, Cody?
Doing great. How are we doing, Scott?
I tell you what, it's going to be a knockout night here. This is the 4th annual KMA Racing Spooktecular Halloween race, proudly brought to you by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Right off the bat, Cody, I want to give a big shout out to Over the Top Paints and Designs. For those that do not know about John Hedrick, let's tell them all about John Hedrick, if you please.
John Hedrick, probably one of the best painters I've ever seen do paint on iRacing. I mean, he's brought out a lot of these good-looking cars out here tonight, so definitely be looking for that logo. He's also incorporated with Loose Lug Nuts Racing, which are quite a few of the cars out here tonight. So really going to be a good head-to-head battle between KMA versus Loose Lug Nuts, along with a little bit of Southeast Motorsports and Bad Guys in here.
Now, I tell you what, Cody, we are set up for 100 laps tonight on this 2.6-mile track. Got some beautiful weather out here. But, you know, this is a speedway, and anything can happen on this super speedway, as drivers are now beginning to take their qualifying times in. Very exciting. Going to be a huge field. We did pack the house tonight. Now, what is some of the keys tonight, Cody, for getting around this 2.66-mile speedway safely?
Survival, and you know, one of the best ways to survive around this 2.66 mile track, Talladega, is start up front. Dustin Markham has laid down a perfect qualifying time of a 53.444 in the number 2 truck. Tonight, James O'Brown will be starting in the 2nd position with a 53.446. That is your front row for tonight's Talladega race.
All right, looking at the number 3rd position of Gary Whitmer Jr. I'll tell you what, Cody, you're doing such a good job. Why don't you go on and take on these qualifying times, and I'm going to get some shots of these trucks.
Definitely. Tonight, starting in 3rd, will be Richard Brose with a time of 53.453. Jack Watts will be starting in 4th with the 77 truck. Starting in 5th will be Donald Stewart in the 78 truck. Starting in 6th will be Gary Whitmer Jr. in the number 5 truck. Jeff T. Martin will be starting in the number 15 truck, starting in 7th. Starting in 8th will be Edward Bray in the 66 truck. 9th will be Michael Johnson in the 004 truck. And rounding out your top 10 will be Lee Staples with the 64 truck. So looks like a good top 10.
All right, keep her going, Cody. I am actually having some problems with my grid. They're not matching up, so you're going to have to carry it on.
Most certainly will. Tyler Chalk in the 07 will be starting 11th. David Johnson in the 00 will be starting 12th. Kerry Allen Stewart will be starting 13th in the 56 truck. John Pensula will be starting 14th in the number 01 truck. In 15th, we have Lloyd Saunders in the number 1 truck. 16th, we have Gary Whitmer, Gary Whitmer Jr.'s father, I believe, in the 52 truck. And starting 17th will be Anthony Poston in the 23 truck. Ben Gear will be starting 18th in the 11 truck. And rounding out your qualifiers for tonight will be Travis Browder in the 51 truck, starting 19th.
We do have a huge field out here. As I'm going around this field, I am seeing a lot of Halloween trucks out here. I am seeing Frankenstein trucks. I am seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre trucks. John Hedrick in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre truck himself. He has gone to a lot of trouble to make these drivers out here tonight scary. But I tell you what, hopefully we will not have a very scary race. A lot of expectations out here tonight. Getting ready to kick off 100 laps here at Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fast, and it will be wild here, Scott. And as long as the drivers are able to keep it together, I see absolutely no reason on why this will have very few cautions. A lot of great drivers out in this field, but there are a lot of them. Pace car is in.
Now, a lot of drivers, Cody, actually decided not to qualify. They're going to take their chances as the cautions fly. Hopefully it'll be a low caution race. If it does go caution free though, even those drivers in the rear of the field, they still have a prime opportunity to win this race on a green flag pit stop.
Lots of opportunities all the way around this racetrack. Right now, Dustin Markham able to get off to a substantial lead right there, able to get a great jump for the start there, as James O'Brown was not able to stay side by side with him. Now it looks like Richard Brose is going to go up in the front and will be passing Dustin Markham as loses a little bit of momentum right there on that bottom line.
Drivers are off to a very wonderful start out here. Always nice when they do get off to a good start.
Looks absolutely great, actually, because a lot of the drivers, few of them single filing out, the few of them in the back that are kind of sitting nice and calm, and then you got the drivers in the front that are 2x2, nice and tight packed. But huge field out here tonight, man. I cannot describe it enough. I mean, 41 total drivers in the field tonight, and it is just a sight to see.
As they say, that is a ton of truck out there in that field tonight. And already that field is already starting to get spread out.
Yeah, you're really starting to see the packs kind of form up already as, you start to go throughout the race. There's usually like 1 or 2 packs that are separated by a couple seconds, a few drivers that, you 100% can trust that are not going to get you into an accident, not going to get you into a caution, not going to get you involved in anything. So those are usually the trucks that'll kind of break off, kind of sit back there, wait, see if there's a caution, see if there's an early caution, maybe do an early pit strategy, something along those lines. I mean, there's a lot of strategy that goes into this race, especially if it does go caution free.
Strategy is what we're hoping to see for with the application of green flag pit stops. Now these drivers are going to be looking at getting just about 30 to 35 laps out of these Chevy Silverados and Toyota Tundras. And we have got Richard Brose out on that front line, side by side with the number 33 of James O'Brown.
Yeah, that front row is really doing a solid job at just trying to maintain pace of the field, make sure that nobody really gets too far out of line, but still keeping up a pretty decent race pace too. I mean, I'm sure the drivers up in front hammered down, but the drivers behind them have to make sure they do a lot of cooling. With Dustin Markham and Jack Watts, they're doing a lot of, cool their engines, make sure they're okay, make sure they're still in the green, not hitting the red or anything like that for their temperature-wise. Looks like they're doing a great job at maintaining those temps and doing a great job really overall throughout the entire field is doing very good.
I want to give a big shout out there to the fans out there, Becky Whitmer, Chris Hogue, and several others out there coming in to see these great looking Halloween trucks brought out by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Now, Edward Bray, he actually has not got the experience for painting that John Hedrick does, but Edward Bray taking his turn with a paintbrush out here tonight. Nice little orange and black and red Halloween truck out there supporting Black Talon KMA Racing. High hopes out here for Edward Bray, and he's got a teammate out here. He's got Lee Staples joining him out in the field tonight. If these two drivers can get hooked up, that's going to be all she wrote.
I do end up seeing a lot of those 2-car tandem breakaways end up usually working out pretty well for those few, as long as they can continue getting caught up in the right groups. I mean, Edward Bray is a phenomenal driver to begin with, and then, put him as an admin on top of that. He usually does an amazing job at that. I mean, he's done a great job all the way across this entire board. We have a caution.
Alrighty, folks, that was up there in front. It does appear that the number 6 getting into the rear end of the number 146 Casper Chevy Silverado being driven by Kenneth Wright. Kenneth Wright going for a spin, doing everything he can to keep off track, but unfortunately the number 58 not able to see the 146 as he is spinning, and a little bit of a plow down job. Unfortunate break there for the number 58 and the 146. Nonetheless, that is our first caution of the night here at Talladega in the 4th annual KMA Spooktecular. Wasn't too scary right there, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. Especially with it being mid-pack like that. I mean, you know, the drivers aren't really fighting all that hard, but it was kind of one of those things that I'm sure it probably did end up catching Jason Hughes off guard. It probably scared him a little bit, especially with, you know, how quickly he was catching on to Kenneth Wright. So definitely an accident. I mean, it kind of just looked like he got bumped entering the corner, no biggie deal, and then just kind of got caught up at the wrong moment.
Now, Cody, talk to us about what happened there to bring out that caution. You talked about a little bump. You get a little bit on that rear end, and if you're not squared up, that's exactly what's going to happen. You need to put some Vaseline on those bumpers, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it looked like the number 6 of Lee Ryerson just ended. I mean, it wasn't even really that it wasn't too badly squared up. It just ended up being the wrong position at the wrong time. He was entering the turn, so Kenneth Wright was also coming down at the same time, and it just ended up acting like he was coming down across his bumper. It just ended up being the wrong bump at the wrong moment there.
Now here with just about 5 laps into this race, 6 laps into this race, underneath an early caution, a few drivers opting to stay out. Now, what's that all about?
You know, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how to survive Talladega. Stay up front as much as possible and as long as possible, because you always want to try to make the wreck happen behind you if there is a wreck. And if there isn't, then you usually can negotiate a few drivers to go into pit road with you. So if you can get those two things right, more than likely you have a good shot at winning this race.
All right, well, let's go on and talk to Jack and see if Jack has got any kind of strategy that he's going to be working for. How about it, Jack? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing good. Happy Halloween to you, sir.
You too, bud.
All right, talk to me about the number 77 Southeast Pad endorsed Chevy Silverado and how he's going to get through the remaining 94 laps and win it tonight.
He's going to take it easy, just kind of ride along, go with the flow, and hope for the best towards the last 10, get my teammates up here, and see if I can get pushed to a win.
All righty, sounds good. And you do have some help down there with Michael Johnson, Travis Browder, and the big man himself, Richie B. Hey, that truck you're driving, that was designed by Over the Top, correct?
No, this one was designed by Doug Turner. The other truck I usually run is designed by Over the Top, but I had to switch it up for something else I'm in with Chase, Chase race.
All righty, copy that. Nonetheless, you got the Pad endorsement on there. Real quick, talk to us about Pad and how we can stay safe this Halloween.
Stay off the phones. Do not use the phones when you're in your car. Do like a motorcycle rider like myself. Pull over, get on the phones. That's probably the biggest thing.
All righty, good advice there from Jack Watson, the 77 Southeast Motorsports. Good luck to you, Jack.
Thank you, sir.
You know, the good words of wisdom right there, Cody, because I tell you what, we've got the little ghosts, we've got the little goblins out there, we've got the little Charlie Brown pumpkin givers out there, a lot more road traffic out there this time of year. And here with KMA, we do a lot of support about Pad. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay off of those phones. Be kind to the trick-or-treaters out there.
Yeah, you got a lot of people running around, and it's never a good thing when one of them gets hit. It's never a good thing. 1 lap to green, lights are off the pace car. We will be getting set and ready to go back to green flag racing this time by.
Gary Whitmer in the number 52 in 12th position, showing his support for the KMA Racing Spooktecular. He is on the rear end of John Pansula and Tyler Chark with DC Solar. Now, Lloyd Sanders, he made up a very interesting paint scheme here in the number 1 tonight, actually coming out of a retirement. Haven't seen Lloyd for about a year, so we're going to keep a close eye on Lloyd and see how he breaks out tonight.
Lloyd, another one of those awesome drivers. Usually make it all the way to the end, and you know, I've seen quite a few bad wrecks, but he's usually able to make it through most of them without any problems.
Big shout out there to Rednecks Racing, thanking Jack for the shout out. So I can only assume that might be Doug Turner out there. Hey, I tell you what, that was a beautiful looking Southeast Motorsports Chevy Silverado. A lot of beautiful trucks out here tonight. But we got to get into some green flag racing. We are on lap 7 of 193 to go. 1 lead change One caution, totaling out 3 laps. All right, so the gears are loose. They're ready to go right now, Cody.
Now it's time to get those trucks double file, just kind of ride, see what you can do, see where you can go. I mean, right now you had the first shot, and for most drivers it ended up being okay. I know we have quite a few drivers back up in the back of the pack now, probably sitting right around 39th, 40th, and those are the drivers that ended up getting caught up in the last one. Now it's time to just see where we can go from here. I mean, there's a lot of racing left, for sure.
A lot of racing, well over an hour and a half. I'm keen to look at that number 15. 15 truck being driven by Jeff T. Martin. Looks like he's been through a bloodbath, showing his support for Chucky. Nice looking Chucky truck there being driven by Jeff T. Martin tonight in position 8.
So we get ready to go back to green flag racing. James O'Brown will be leading us to the flag, and he will be off, racing side by side with Richard Brose, as they will be side by side for not very long. It was pretty obvious that James Brown just did not get off to the start that he wanted, as Richard ended up beating him all the way to the line by almost a half a tenth.
Something I'm really seeing early on is they're definitely giving each other a lot of space and a lot of room out here. Top pack consisting of about 9 trucks, and then you got a whole lot of gaps out there. They are not bumper to bumper front to the rear of the field.
Really, there is no big reason to push it right now. They've got a lot of racing left. They've got a lot of driving left in general. I mean, there's so much that has to go on for these 92 laps to complete out under green flag conditions, and I know everybody wants that to happen, but it's just going to take a lot of concentration, focus, and a lot of give, not a lot of take.
And I tell you what, you know, the way this pack is stretched out, they almost take up the entire length of that backstretch, oddly enough. Richard Brose out there in front, side by side with Dustin Markham. Now, Richard Brose, he is a highline man, not a big fan of that inside lane, so he's not really, I think, in his comfortable zone. He will surely try to get up into that lane in front of Dustin Markham, if I know my good friend Richie B. Not seeing much 3-wide action. Drivers just right now in ride mode.
Yeah, a lot of riding going on around here, and it's definitely a good thing. It'll help out, kind of break the field apart, keep breaking it apart, and you know, it also gives the drivers that want to try to get to the front a good opportunity to make sure they get as fast as possible, going as far as possible, and you know, you were talking about the backstretch of Talladega. That is a long, long backstretch. I mean, I don't even know how long that actually is, but it is quite a bit longer than even Bristol, stretched from start-finish line to start-finish line. So it's a pretty hefty backstretch. A lot of give throughout these drivers right now.
Gary Whitmer Sr., Gary Whitmer Jr. riding side by side in position 13th and 14th. Always cool when a father and son races. On the rear end of the Whitmers is Sean Dower with Old School doing a good job in the number 62. The creature from the Black Lagoon, number 11, Ben Gear. Another great truck brought out by Over the Top Paints and Designs.
Definitely a lot of great looking trucks, and there's also a lot of great looking racing right now going on, as there's just a lot of side-by-side action out front, but as we thin out towards the back, it does seem like it gets a little bit more single-filed out, but not by a lot. I mean, you can still see that there's a couple packs towards the back that are kind of side-by-side, kind of just trying to get single-filed out, and you've also got a lot of drivers that are actually almost towards 12 seconds back behind the pack, so there's a few drivers that I think might actually almost be completely out of the front pack's draft, so gonna have to be watching for some lap cars within the next, say, probably 10-20 laps.
Rodney Morris back in the number 41 in position 40th. One of those drivers that has fallen to 15 seconds back, trying to catch up to the number 9 being driven by Brian Bizzle representing Covington Motorsports. Looking at the number 63 of Trent Drum in 38th as we work our way forward. And there is the host for tonight's race, John Hedrick. A big shout out there to John Hedrick in the number 25 Texas Chainsaw. Scary looking ride right there.
Amazing looking. I can't believe the amount of detail he's able to put into one paint scheme, especially, you know, just a generalized paint scheme for a special night like tonight.
Jumping on forward to positions 35th and 36. Nice little camera shot of the 48 and the 16 representing Covington Motorsports. So we've got 3 drivers out here tonight directly representing Covington. A big shout out there to Dustin Covington in the number 48. They are closing in on the number 13, Travis Zudema, on the rear end of the number 96, Craig Covington, another father and son combination. Gary Whitmer Jr., Dustin Covington, Craig Covington. That is awesome in itself right there, Cody.
Isn't it, though? I mean, I love the fact that, you know, they all have matching paint schemes and everything like that, and then the last name, it all kind of just flows together very nicely.
And I tell you what, those 3 Covington Motorsport trucks, they are making a haul here, but they are unfortunately 18 seconds back. Moving on up here to position 31, David Johnson. In The Walking Dead, we're going to have a caution.
Trying to figure out what happened there. It just looks like Lee Ryerson anticipated a gap, but I guess he may have missed it. I don't know.
What I'm seeing is the number 6 taking a bit of a left turn into the 224. Tough break there for Lee Ryerson. But looking at it up there from chopper view, going to back it up a little bit, take a real close look at the number 6, full motion, coming down into the 224. Tough break right there for Kevin Scott Nelson. And he is smoking, and he is in that grass, and that will be our second caution of the night, coming out on lap 15 of 100.
Luckily, it looks like another smaller caution, though, so it does not look like it caught up all that many drivers. Quite fortunate on that one, but yeah, unfortunate break for Lee Ryerson and Kevin Scott. They were both doing a great job at just kind of maintaining where they were at. They were all about 8 seconds or so back behind the leaders, and they were doing a good job at just trying to maintain where they were. But also another lucky break for quite a few of those drivers that were more towards the back. They were almost about to get lapped, about 5 to 10 seconds away from being lap traffic.
Several drivers definitely glad to see this caution. Dustin Markham, Edward Bray will be out there on that front line. And again, the question of the night, pit or not to pit. Now you're 15 laps in, you're halfway through a fuel run. What damage does Talladega do to those tires, Cody?
Damage to the tires not near as bad as what most people would anticipate, especially for as rough of a track as Talladega is. But I would definitely be taking 4 if I'm towards the back, 2 if I'm towards the front. 2 right sides, full tank of fuel, get out there, get back on track.
And we are seeing our race leader edging into pit row along with pretty much the whole darn field rolling off into pit row. You know, there's really just this early in the race, Cody, there's absolutely no sense in even trying to risk, you know, a simple mistake such as just wearing the tires out.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're driving like this tonight, there's really not a lot of pushing going on, not a lot of shoving going on, so you should be able to get back into that position, especially with how fast and rapid these drivers are able to make the moves and make the position changes. Realistically, if there was any doubt, there would definitely be a lot more 4-tire stops than anything for a driver like me that likes to try to keep it as conservative as possible.
Now that'll put Ben Gear out there on that front line. How about it, Ben Gear? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, talk to me about your race so far.
Yeah, Scott, this is a pretty quick little creature from a Black Lagoon Chevy Silverado I got right here.
Looking very good and very sharp out there. You're out there on that front line. Do you plan to stay out there?
Yeah, I'm going to stay out. I pitted on that first caution.
Okay, so no drop into the back for you. A little bit more about the paint job. Who actually painted up the creature from the Black Lagoon for you?
It's John Hendrick.
All right, great job. Any thoughts as far as the next 84 laps? Now, we've had 2 early cautions. What's the atmosphere out there on the track tonight?
Well, I started out in the middle of the pack, and there's just either staying up front or being in the back and just avoiding, because there's a lot of fast moves, I think, going on that's going to cause a lot of chaos.
All right, so you are showing a little bit of concern for the remaining mini laps.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stay out here towards the front a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
All right, bring it home, brother.
All right, man. Thank you.
Ben Gear out there in the creature from the Black Lagoon. Now he has got Dustin Markham in the Playboy. Now I'm not so sure how scary that truck is right there. Nice little costume there being driven by Dustin Markham. Dustin Markham, very good driver. Won a lot of these races out here, Cody. Has actually won one of our major events in 2016. I can't remember which one it was, but he'll be a man to watch. Edward Bray sitting back in 3rd position. Richard Brose in 4th. And James O'Brown sitting up there in position 5.
Yeah, it's so awesome that we can do all of these live events and all these live races. I mean, it's so cool that we're able to do all of this stuff and talk to all the drivers. It's awesome to see. And, you know, really looking at it, Ben Gear's done a great job so far, even throughout tonight's practice, the qualifying. He may not have qualified the best, but he is now sitting in P1, so he says he wants to stay up there. I think he probably will, more than likely can, so I don't see why, you know, Ben Gear can't be a good participant for tonight's win, as long as we do end up going green for a little while.
Well, and that is what we want to see. That is a definite goal, is to go see green flag pit stops. I always love it when they get under green flag pit stops. But, you know, even for the drivers that are back there in the back, it is still anybody's race out here.
Yeah, you've got quite a few options for the drivers to figure out who they want to go with and what they want to do. I think Ben Gear right now has a very important pit strategy going on right now, and I don't think he's got a lot of people following him on it, but it might still work out for him in the end. He did end up pitting on the first round of pit stops, like he said, which was about 7 to 8 laps ago. That's the only thing that really concerns me, is the fact that he is now offset from just about every single other driver out on the race course. So, going to be interesting to see how this super speedway meshes up with Ben now.
Now, Richard Brose will be restarting in that outside lane, and that is where Richie feels extremely comfortable, is that outside lane. And Richard not shy to go 3 wide at all.
Yeah, he's very very careful about it, but at the same time loves doing it. So if he can find the right driver to go up onto that high side with him, I don't doubt that he'll be up and on the outside of Dustin Markham before the entrance of turn 3.
Drivers are coming down that backstretch, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. We're going to go in-car camera with Lloyd Saunders in the number 1 on this restart. He's going to be on to the tail end of the 0-1. John Pansula sitting in 7th position. On that outside lane, Samuel Given in the number 38.
Should definitely be an interesting one to be able to watch here, as Lloyd is definitely a fast driver, but very patient. Likes to tiptoe around the cars, which is an amazing factor with him. He is very good at keeping the truck clean, so we'll have to see whether or not there's any drama in front of him, really.
Lloyd did start out here in 15th position. He's currently worked his way up to 10th place after 2 cautions. He's run a fast lap of a 48.650. Pretty good times there for Lloyd Sanders.
So we get ready to go back to green flag racing here. The pace car will be pulling off here momentarily, as they are holding at about 65 miles per hour. I'm not positive, but this has Ben Gear's first time restarting up in that front row for tonight's race. We'll have to see when he decides to go, whether that's on the flag drop or if that's a little bit before. Usually it's a little bit before.
It is on leader's discretion. He is holding. He is holding.
Green flag is out. He gets a little bit of a bump. Does not look like it's going to be enough to beat out Dustin Markham, though that outside line has gotten great restarts from the last 2 or 3, so going to be interesting to see whether or not that changes throughout tonight's course of the race as well.
Inside lane has opened up in front of and just closed back down on as John comes down in front of Lloyd Sanders, trying to make momentum going in that inside lane. But I tell you what, do you have a favorite lane, Cody? Inside, outside, top lane, bottom lane?
I like the inside line for the first 80 laps, outside line for the last 20. I really like having that escape route just in case, and I really enjoy having the speed of the high side and the openness of the high side. So realistically, I want to try to be as smart as possible, especially with a giant field like this we have tonight. I mean, I believe we still have 41 drivers in the field, so huge field still. Going to be interesting to see how much longer they can hold on to this.
Well, and one more time, once again, that pack has really broken up with the position number 39 being 7 seconds back.
Yeah, it really doesn't take a long time for this pack to, just kind of calm out and settle out, but it just seems like it's doing a phenomenal job tonight, just trying to ease back and pull the reins back, trying to ease a lot of drivers backwards, trying to calm everybody down, and it ends up stretching the field out so far. It's not like there's a huge 12-14 second gap anywhere within those 7 seconds. It just seems like there's little half a second here, half a second there. So they're doing a great job on maintaining that and continuing with the side-by-side racing at the same time, so it's not too extremely tight, but at the same time it's not way too crowded either.
Number 38 of Samuel Given making his way around this 2.66 mile speedway, doing a good job hanging on to the rear end of, I do believe, the number 1 of John Pansela. Ben Gear still up in front of Bray, dropping to 3rd position. Richard Brose holding steady in 4th, second truck on that outside lane, pushing onto the rear end of Dustin Markham. But here comes that number 62, Old School of Sean Dower.
Yeah, that outside line definitely seems to have a little bit more of a run. I saw a lot of drivers on that restart starting to switch up to that high side. Nobody really pressuring too much on the 3 wide situation, which is still good to see. But it just seems like the outside line is a little bit more preferred right now. Not positive on why.
Taking a peek at the Chucky truck, working his way up lane just a little bit. Also painted up by Rednecks Racing and Doug Turner. Really love that Chucky truck, though. I tell you what, very sharp looking, scary looking truck. Travis Browder joining us in tonight's race. Last night's winner there with our Friday Night Flight Series at Kansas. So Travis Browder bringing a lot of attitude to the track tonight.
Definitely still extremely smooth 2-wide racing all the way throughout at a bare minimum of the top 12. Then you get a little bit more broken up as we go back towards the back of the pack, but still amazing racing so far done by the top top 2 spots are just completely side by side no matter what.
Jeff T. Martin driving that number 15 Chucky, being pushed on by Tyler Chalk in the 07. Coming around, Anthony Poston in the number 23 Thrustmaster on the inside lane. Nice shot of the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. Big shot out there too. GW Graphics. Now Gary Whitmer is our Monday night sponsor. Started off 6th. He has dropped down to position 13. Side by side with Travis Browder, coming up onto the 146 of Kenneth Wright.
Kenneth Wright definitely holding a steady line. I mean, you saw earlier on he was involved in the very first caution, so obviously they got that truck back out there fixed, and he is definitely battling hard for that 11th position that he's in right now.
Number 43 of Brett Jones heading off into pit row, possibly for an unscheduled pit stop.
That's on the backstretch there, Scott. I don't know what happened there, but definitely went down really fast and hard, pulling down onto the apron, stopping, and removing himself from the race tonight. Not positive on what's going on there.
Might have been a real-life issue. That is kind of odd. Richard Brose still doing a good job out there on that outside lane in position 3, with Ben Gear leading his 9th lap of the night.
Great job so far done by Ben Gear. Side by side still with Dustin Markham, though. I mean, those two have been going back and forth the entire time. Dustin Markham leads the lap, Ben Gear leads the lap, Dustin Markham leads the lap. I mean, that's what's really given us a lot of our lead changes right now, is because those two can't decide on who wants to go out there and just continue to lead. We've already had 9 so far tonight.
Edward Bray making a move up that inside lane. A lot of Chevy Silverados out here, but every now and then we will find a Toyota. Preferred vehicle is the Camping World Chevy Silverado. But Travis Browder, one of the few that do like that Toyota.
Realistically, the Toyota has no differences than the Chevy, and the Chevy really has no advantages over the Toyota. It's really just because when iRacing introduced the Chevy to begin with, it ended up being that Chevy were the only ones. So really, if you have an extra $12, $15, however much the truck would cost, it's usually just kind of one of those additives that you would buy just in case you wanted to be part of the 100% club. Still cool to see, you know, a lot of the side-by-side action with people like Anthony Poston driving the Toyota Tundra, going up side-by-side against all the Chevys. Like, I believe it's Jack Watts right now sitting right beside him.
One driver down off of that track, down onto that backstretch. Back up on track, going in 3, safe entry. Jack Watts in the middle of the number 51 and the 15. Representing Southeast Motorsports on that outside lane. Plenty of room to get down onto that inside lane. But right now Jack Watts is in the right attitude along with Travis Browder. Just sit here and ride. We've still got plenty of laps to get the job done by the end of the night.
You know, I'm seeing plenty of laps to get the job done, but I am seeing a lot of side-by-side racing all the way almost to right around the 20th position. You have side-by-side action all the way on back throughout that field.
Very impressed with the sportsmanship being shown out here tonight, because, you know, a lot of these drivers actually with the joining of KMA and Loose Lugnuts to tonight's race. A lot of these drivers are not very familiar with one another, but I tell you what, it looks like they're getting along just fine out here tonight.
Definitely. I wonder who dropped the hammer tonight, saying we behave or else. It's always a fun little joke that we have going on, but really they are behaving extremely well. Nice to see the side-by-side action, a lot of good hard racing, but at the same time they're doing it so extremely cleanly that it's just awesome to see.
It's something else that's awesome. No matter what the race, if it involves KMA, we always see a lot of purple rims, purple lettering. And speaking of purple, that is the color of Nikki Clenny. Reminder of the first Sunday of the month coming up. 1 week from tomorrow, we will be doing our monthly Race for Pad, bringing you awareness for people against distracted driving. Join us next Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow night.
You know, every time I think Dustin Markham's going to get a good enough of a run to pass Ben Gear, he's just barely short by maybe a little bit less than a foot. So interesting to see whether or not he's ever going to be able to get by him. But it's still side-by-side racing. So interesting enough, Ben Gear won that last lap over Dustin Markham by 0.007 of a second, which is about 2 to 3 inches. So nice tight battle all the way back to the line every single time, and it doesn't matter what changes or who's doing what, but it's just side by side, and side by side.
Well, it does appear that they have found their groove, but I am seeing a couple of drivers. One of those drivers, Sean Dower, the number 62. Now he is in 6th position, and I'm seeing him leaving that proverbial inside door open just a little bit, almost giving Samuel Given or James O'Brown opportunity to possibly duck it in there and take it 3 wide. Jeff T. Martin up into that 3rd lane, back down into that 2nd lane.
Yeah, really, they're leaving a little bit of room there, but I'm not sure if they're just trying to cool the engine, if they're just trying to ride, or what's going on there. But I do know that a lot of the drivers are very hesitant on taking it 3 wide this early in the race. I mean, we still have 68 laps to go, which actually does bring me to the next subject. Pit strategy is not far out, especially if you're Ben Gear here. He's probably looking at pitting within the next 5 or 10 laps or so.
Now you do want to do some math, because you're looking at 30 to 32 laps down. There are, I'm sure, a couple of drivers who have yet, well, everybody would have had to pit right now. We are on lap 33, so you know, they're going to have to do their math. If they go in, say about 35, they'll be good till 45, 55, 65. That's not going to be good enough.
No, they need to at least make it to lap 40 in order to make this another one-stop race. But that is all also dependent on the cautions and whether or not they fly. I know the last caution ended up flying on lap 15, and before that it was about lap 7, so you got to kind of put those into perspective. If Ben Gear, well, since he did not end up going into pit road, he will have to stop right around lap 40 if he's able to push it that far. If not, well, it may not be his race tonight. Not only that, but he's going to have to find somebody to go in with him. I'm sure he's probably on comms right now trying to talk to some people, figure out who's going to go in, who's not, and where they're going to go from there.
00 of David Johnson sitting back in position 34 in The Walking Dead. Gotta love the Dead.
My brother definitely loves that show. He watches it every single Sunday, no matter what. I mean, he is super addicted to that show. I mean, I liked watching it at first too, but at some point the addiction has to end.
I am definitely a Walking Dead addict myself. My daughter got me hooked on it. Looking at the number 63, side by side with the number 48. Again, those two Covington trucks, Covington Motorsports, the number 48 and the number 9, Dustin and Brian Bizzle. Craig Covington in close proximity, but these drivers are 30 seconds off of our race leader, Ben Gear.
Yeah, it's a little bit far out there, but at the same time, they may be looking at a little bit different of a strategy. Possibly, maybe they're looking for a caution. Not really positive yet, but that still leads 38 cars still on the lead lap. 30 seconds back with a 8-car pack. We'll have to see whether or not that affects them or not, but it looks like they are still holding a pretty decent race pace, so going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. And really, I'm kind of curious on how they ended up all the way back there.
Travis Zadima in the number 13 Christine Chevy Silverado, pushing on the number 16 Brandon Dorsett with Covington, and they are in 29th and 30th position. Jason Hughes in the Friday the 13th, the number 58 Loose Lug Nuts. Well, Jason Hughes, one of the top drivers for Loose Lug Nuts. Definitely a top contender out here tonight. Trying to work his way around the number 39 of Scott Leitner. Another great orange and black love, and I tell you what, this is really getting me up into that Halloween spirit, Cody.
Definitely, especially with it only being about 3 days away. It's definitely got me pumped and ready when I go out there do some spooking.
I think I'm too old to spook, but I tell you what, number 89, Tim Campbell, Frankenstein. You can see that green monster coming a mile away. Tim Campbell right now is in position 27th. He started in the rear of the field in position 39th, gaining 12 spots through 2 cautions. Tim Campbell in the Loose Lug Nuts Over the Top Paints and Designs, Frankenstein.
Yeah, he did an amazing job in practice too. Tim Campbell ended up pulling down 6th position throughout most of practice, and you know, he was able to maintain that pace just about all the way up until qualifying. Didn't end up qualifying. I'm sure that was probably a strategy. It probably expected a few more cautions. Now he's sitting 24 seconds behind the back of the pack, and not sure if he's looking at that as a possible reason on why, or maybe he's just hoping for caution.
Gary Whitmer started 16th, currently is in 24th position in the number 52. Being pushed on by the number 21 of Freeman Kelly. They are 24 seconds back.
Yeah, he is the lead of that pack that Tim Campbell's in, so interesting enough. I'm sure they're probably looking at a different strategy. In fact, they might be looking to pit here within the next 1 to 2 laps, as we are coming around to lap 40 or 41. So
we do have green flag pit stops. Ben Gear, Edward Bray into pit row.
Lee Staples along with them. Interesting 3-car stop. Looks like that might just start out our green flag pit stops here.
Ben Gear taking left sides. Only left sides there for the creature from the Black Lagoon. Green flag pit stops for Ben Gear as he makes his way out of pit row.
You know, I was going to mention it earlier that Dustin was able to get out or in front of Ben a little bit earlier before they ended up going to those green flag pit stops, and now things have really switched up. Richard Brose is up in the lead. Samuel Given is in 2nd, and Sean Dower is in 3rd. Those are your top 3 drivers right now.
Kerry Allen Stewart in 5th position. Casper in the 146. Kevin. These drivers should be talking about pit row very soon.
I'm still seeing quite a few drivers up on that outside line. Not sure what's going on there, whether or not they are on a totally different strategy or if they're just not planning on pitting quite yet.
Well, they could be working on draining that tank. They could be thinking about another caution coming up, but we've got quite a few caution-free laps now. The drivers have really settled down. We've had 2 cautions out here tonight. We are on
one
that
spinning
40...
entering pit road. One spinning, entering pit road.
Pit road.
Trying to get a car number for you. 146. Kevin Wright ended up spinning onto pit road. Just hit the brakes a little bit too hard. Avoided contact with everybody else, though, so good job by him on keeping it down and out of the way for everybody else. Looks like he backed it into the inside wall. Possible damage that might affect his car, though.
Tough break. Pit road definitely separating the men from the boys. Number 62, Sean Dower, leading lap 42 as we're breaking down to a straight line formation up here in front with Sean Dower, Richard Brose, near contact with Dustin Markham on that outside lane.
Does not look like anybody wanted to pit in that time, so going to be interesting to see if they all decide to fall in line here quickly. As you were saying, there's definitely a lot more drivers on that inside line right now, so going to be interesting. Maybe they might be thinking about pitting in this time.
Tyler Chalk has worked his way up there to position 6th on that inside lane. Kerry Allen Stewart onto the rear end, 5th truck in line, but Dustin Markham and Samuel Given making a charge on that outside lane. Now the worst thing that can happen to you out here on the green flag is getting trapped up onto that outside lane, Cody.
Yeah, especially this close to pit stops. There is no way I would be caught up there. Right now, you're probably looking at another 5 laps, maybe, if you can make it that far with this green flag racing. And there's probably not going to be anybody left out on that outside line. Well, anybody left that will not have pitted by that point.
Right.
Looks like they're starting to fall in line now too.
And they're going to be coming up onto some lap traffic. Now the general rule of thumb is for slower traffic, lap traffic, to yield to that inside lane. We'll see how the leaders do working their way around. Oh, we got green flag pit stops with the number 38 of Samuel Given. But he's pitting by himself. Nope, he's got the 07 with him. So 38-07, Samuel Given, Tyler Chalk into green flag pit stops.
Jack Watts also, Jeff T. Martin. Yeah, quite a few drivers ended up pitting in this time, so looks like they might have another different strategy. Going to be a lot of differing drivers out on this super speedway tonight.
Well, and I tell you what, the more of these green flag pit stops we have, the better racing it's going to be. Now, interesting right there, Jeff T. Martin taking left sides, Jack Watts taking right sides. Lefty, righty, I guess it all works out the same when you're just a piece of rubber down on that track.
Really tonight, I mean, there's a lot of drivers that'll go off of tire wear, and there's other drivers that'll go off of feel. So, I mean, the calculations are always close, but it's never perfect. That's why, most of the time they'll just swap each side each time, and most of the time some drivers will start with lefts, other drivers will start with rights. I found out most recent when I was helping do a little bit of crew chief work that the left sides on the Generation 6 cars, the Monster Energy Cup cars, ends up wearing quite a bit faster than the right sides do. So, interesting note, maybe that's what everybody else is looking at for these Camping World Truck Series trucks as well.
Richard Brose, Sean Dower passing pit row one more time. And again, coming up onto some slower traffic vehicles up here. Joshua Albanese in position 7th. Now, he was in 43rd. He was at the rear of that field at the start of tonight's race, and he's moved up to position 7. Gary Whitmer Jr. up into position 8. Ronald Klein, we haven't talked about Ronald Klein tonight, and the number 76, painted up by John Hedrick. Ronald Klein started in the rear of the field tonight in position 34, and he has moved up to position 9. We are under green flag racing here at the 4th annual KMA Spooktecular. 2 early cautions, but I tell you what, Cody, they have got it going on tonight.
Green flag pit stops.
Big pit stops, and a driver spinning. That is the number 56 going for a ride.
Does not look like there's going to be a caution, though. He did end up keeping it straight for the most part until he got down off the racing surface. So looks like the 41, actually, Rodney Morris, ended up being the unlucky driver to end up overbraking, I guess.
I tell you what, it does indeed happen. Green flag pit stops for a lot of drivers. And with these drivers that are pitting now, Cody, 48, 58, 68, 78, they're well within that window for one more pit stop.
Definitely within the window, and it looks like maybe a little bit of a problem for the 56 there. 56 of Kerry, Alan Stewart, was sitting in, I believe it was position 8 or position 9 before the pit stop, and now being held possibly for a pit road penalty. Overshot the box, I saw that much, but outside of that, not sure what else could be happening with that truck right now.
Tough break. Gary Whitmer Jr., Gary Whitmer Sr., the number 52, exiting his way out of pit road. Green flag pit stops there for the number 52.
A little bit of swapping going on for the lead. Dustin Markham in the number 2 Playboy truck ends up taking over the lead position.
Guys, has Dustin and Sean pitted yet, and Richie?
Yes, they have. They have all pitted now, and now crossing the line one more time, as that is going to be your updated results, as the only person I do not believe is pitted would be, no, Joshua just pitted as well.
Take a look at our running order, and that is indeed Dustin Markham, Sean Dower, Richard Brose, Ronald Klein, Travis Browder, Kevin Scott Nelson, Michael Johnson, Gary Whitmer Jr. rounding out our top 8. Lee Staples back in 15th, Jim Brown in 20th. Gary Whitmer back in 24th, and Kerry Stewart in 26th.
Interesting to see. There's going to be a lot of lap traffic playing a huge role in this one here, as we have a group of, looks like about 8 cars sitting directly in front of the leaders, and well, they're going to be pulling away from the leaders here very shortly, as they're moving at about 3 miles per hour faster than the leaders are right now. So
why is that, Cody? Explain to our fans why they are moving faster.
Well, right now you have the leaders that are sitting in a 3-car tandem pack. So there's 3 cars, 3 engines, 3 bodies that are all trying to push through the same exact air. Whereas up in front there you have 8 cars, 8 or 9 cars really, looking at trying to go as fast and as hard as possible, and they ended up moving about 3 seconds faster a lap going around the circuit. So it's kind of the way that everything works is 8 cars are a little bit stronger and a little bit more powerful than just 3. So that 8-car pack really moving right now for this 28th on back, 27th on back.
We are on to the rear end of the Frankenstein Chevy Silverado, being driven by Tim Campbell in the number 89, side by side with the 00 of David Johnson. Again, the Covington Motorsports doing a great job. See him up there on the outside. And the number 9 with Brandon Dorsett. Number 39 down onto that inside lane. They are 46 seconds back off of our race leader, though, Dustin Markham.
Yet, interestingly enough, this is not the largest pack out on the racing circuit right now. Actually, it is by about 1 car. Right now, you have a 7-car pack that is sitting about 1.7 back from the pack, and then you've got that giant pack of 8 or 9 cars. As they continue to catch cars, they will pick them up and put them in the draft, that are sitting about 39.9 seconds back yet. So it's going to be a little bit bigger and continue to grow a little bit faster than what that lead pack will. Dustin Markham, though, looking that he probably will not maintain that lead for very much longer if the outside line ends up getting a good run here, as Travis Browder now working side by side with, ooh, a little bit of a tight squeeze there for the lead. Ronald Klein ended up coming up right in front of Richard Brose. Now they're going to be pushing and side by side with Dustin Markham and the 62 of Sean Dower.
I tell you what, Cody, these guys are making a liar out of me, because I said once those green flag pit stops started taking place, that would really divide this field up. And as Ronald Klein takes the lead on lap 53, this pack is not getting smaller, it is getting bigger and bigger.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's two pretty giant packs out there right now. Two totally different driving styles, totally different, I mean, everything. You look at the drivers inside that, and they're two totally different driving styles. Certain drivers like to be a little bit tighter, other drivers like to be a little bit more laid back. You see the pack that's right in front of the leaders, that is the little bit more laid back pack, and it looks like they might end up getting caught after all, as they have not moved from 46.9 seconds back from the last driver, very last driver on the tail end of that pack.
But you know, they cannot be laid back, because if these leaders catch them, they're going to put them a lap down. Well, they're going to try, but there's way too much traffic for that to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of where that rule of everybody move to the outside, that's kind of where this is going to kind of put a little bit of a stop to things, because there really is no way for every single car to get single filed out and go to the outside. Well, there are ways, but it's not practical for every single driver to do that just for...
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just not gonna work out in the end. So right now,
and like everybody knows with NASCAR, as far as the rules, they're guidelines. You do the best you can, you deal with it. But you're absolutely right. This pack, they're fighting to stay on that lead lap. If they're caught by Dustin and Markham and Ronald and Sean, they're not going to yield.
As they are now closing on them, the speeds that these lead pack drivers are catching. Ooh,
number
boy,
two.
Yeah, Dustin Markham down on the apron there just for a moment as he was trying to work his way past, I believe that was the 56 or I don't really recall.
In the rear. We got a wreck in the rear. They're trying to get a number on it.
11 of Ben Gear and the 1 of Lloyd Saunders, as Lloyd is going to spin down into the inside. Ben Gear ends up keeping it off the wall. Looks like he'll be trying to catch. Yeah, get back up on track, I guess. I mean, a lot of this ended up happening down on the apron.
Now look at this 3-wide action here with this Dustin Covington with this now lap down. They are seriously into some 3-wide action.
Man, and it does not look like there's a lot of drivers that end up liking this. David Johnson is moving side to side, trying to just kind of ride right in the middle, and it's not working out well for him as he's trying to figure out who he wants to follow. Jason Hughes ends up being the 58 right in front of him. Jason kind of moving a little bit high, a little bit low, and it looks like David's just having a hard time keeping with him.
Number 76, Ronald Klein, in the middle, in the Hornet's Nest, along with Richard Brose and Travis Browder. Now you got to keep in mind right here that Dustin Markham is our race leader. Sean Dower is on that lead lap. Ronald Klein on that lead lap. Richard Brose, Travis Browder, but they're with a lot of lap traffic right here.
That is a lot of lap traffic right there. That is pretty much almost half your field right there sitting all in one position, but only about 7 drivers in that pack are actually on the lead lap. There's just so many other drivers that are either lap down or going to be lap down that it's even confusing for me to try to figure out who's where. Oh, we got the 96 in the wall.
That's the big one. That one's going to hurt. All right, taking a look at the number 89 of Tim Campbell. I know he was caught up into it. Trying to figure out exactly. Oh, it was up there in the front involving the number 96. I do believe we're going to get those cameras moved upwards a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like Jason Covington ends up getting a little bit on the turned side with Jason Hughes. It just looks like the minorest of contacts. We were talking about not squaring up before, and that is exactly it. It was just a tap on the right quarter panel of the truck. It just ended up not being squared up on that bumper, and yeah, ends up collecting a lot of drivers. Hopefully a lot of those drivers have backup cars. If not, that's unfortunate end to quite a few nights here.
Travis Browder caught up into it, as well as the walking did, and he is limping. He's not walking, he is limping. Gary Whitmer Jr. in the number 5 showing a fair amount of damage. Appears that the number 15, Jeff Martin, may have gotten through it, but Tim Campbell showing significant rear end damage. A lot of drivers, just about every driver, will be taking it into pit row on lap 59 underneath our third caution, and that was the big one.
That was absolutely huge for a lot of these drivers, and it's going to be interesting to see who decides to stay out on this one, because 41 laps to go, you're not going to make it on fuel, at least not yet, and there's quite a few drivers that have damage. So do you take the chance, try to stay out, try to get your lap back, or do you pit in, wait an extra, get an extra 20 laps out of your tank and not be able to make it to the end anyways? I mean, really, either way, you're pretty much hoping for a caution.
Richard Brose, very impressed with Richie B out here tonight, along with the number 2 of Dustin Martin. Richard Brose racing out of pit row along with Sean Dower.
As your current new race leader, Anthony Poston, ends up not being the one to go into pit road quite yet. So, interesting enough, does not look like he had intentions to go into pit road either. So, going to have to see whether or not he ends up pitting in this time.
Sean Dower, the number 62, doing a pretty good job tonight. How about it, Sean Dower? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, how is Old Schools doing tonight? That was the big one. Did you get through it all right?
Yeah, I really don't know how I did. I was partnered up with Dustin, and we were talking about how we were going to get through this big pack in front of us we were coming up on. And I told him, I said, there's not much we can do, Dustin. Just, line up in behind them and we'll just go. And, man, he went and got around one lap car, and it was just chaos from there. But, yeah, it's fun. It's a blast.
One of them situations where you just close your eyes and hope for the best, you think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, tell us a little bit about Old School.
Oh, man, it's a team I've had for a long time. I've been very blessed with some great drivers. We've got about 6 or 7 on our team now. And, of course, we do the paints on Trading Paints as well, so we offer a lot of paints. But we were going to have some more teammates with us tonight, but unfortunately they have the real Old Schools Motorsports modified out running tonight on Saturday night, so they couldn't make it tonight.
All right, and in tonight's race, is there anybody you're particularly trying to get together with? You had mentioned Dustin. Anybody else?
Yeah, just any of the KMA boys, whatever I can do to help the KMA to win this race. So, if I can get up with any KMA guy, then that's where I'm going to park it at.
All righty, well, I tell you what, you got a lot of them out there to choose from. Good luck to you, Sean Dower.
Thank you, bud.
All right, Sean Dower sitting back there in third position. Richard Brose in the number 87. Now, Richard Brose, a very good friend of mine, always a hoot to talk to. How about it, Richie B? Have you got a copy?
Yeah, Scott, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, sir? Is it scary down there at Talladega?
Oh, that's why it's spooktacular, right?
I know. Did you get through that big one?
No, I didn't, but I was able to get the car around. I didn't have to reset right away, so I used my quick fix and back in second, I guess, and just trying to avoid all the mishap and try to keep the rest of the race clean. I've been out for a while, so it's nice to get back in the seat.
All righty, copy that. Good to see you. You got any
Yes, sir.
special plans with the pizza with Halloween? Are you doing any Halloween pizzas down there, Richie B?
Seems like it's Halloween during football season, Scott. You got those people that take a bunch of pizzas to go to watch their favorite teams, Alabama and Auburn. You know what I mean?
Nice, nice. All righty. We'll have to get one mailed out to me pronto.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Good luck to you, Rich.
Yes, sir.
Richie B. out of Dothan, Alabama, working along with Michael Johnson and Travis Browder tonight.
Amazing job by all of these drivers so far tonight. It's outstanding. 3 cautions, 19 lead changes. I mean, just running through the stats as I was able to look at it, it's just phenomenal to see the amount of impressive moves that these drivers have been able to make. I mean, you've only really had a handful of leaders that have actually taken the lead laps, but there's just so many back and forth and side by side action. It's outstanding to see.
Dustin Markham has led 19 laps. Richard Brose has led 7. Sean Dower has led 7. Joshua Albanese, who again started 43rd, he's led 2. Edward Bray has led 1. Ben Gear has led 19. James O'Brown has led 3. Ronald Klein leading 2. Anthony Poston leading 1. So a lot of drivers out here tonight getting their virtual point there for leading a lap.
Definitely. Really a lucky break for Ben Gear. We saw a little bit before that caution that he ended up getting into a little bit of scrap with Lloyd Saunders and ended up not quite coming out the cleanest, but now that backup truck is out and looks like he is doing quite all right sitting back in 14th position.
Well, Rednecks Racing has chose Jeff T. Martin for the win tonight, so we got to get Jeff updated here, and he is sitting in 22nd position. Now, go time, Cody. We still got another pit stop. Once these drivers get to lap 70, possibly 68, they can get in and out of pit row, and they're going to be good on fuel. So we are looking at 6-8 laps away from the first possibility of a green flag pit stop once again. Where would you? What would be your thoughts on that scenario?
My thoughts on the scenario, I expected tonight be filled a lot more with cautions, have 5 or 6 at this point in the race, but right now we're doing a phenomenal job with only having 3 total and 9 caution laps, and we still have 38 laps to go. So right now I would not expect it to be our last and final caution, but I would most certainly think that we'd probably go to green flag to where I would be pitting in probably lap 30 to go, so probably lap 70. Go time, not for a little while yet. I'd probably say another 20 laps on that yet.
So being this close to green flag pit stops to that window, you're going to want to get in, get that pit stop done ASAP.
Definitely, as long as I can get enough drivers to go in with me.
All right, and about 5-6 drivers, that's really all you need. But you got to be able to work together. You got to be able to hold it together. You also got to consider where in position in that pack you are. If you're the leaders and you've got 38 drivers bearing down on you, trying to get off that track safely into pit row, it can be a little bit scary.
Yeah, that definitely becomes a little bit too much of a hassle, and at that point it might just be better off just stay up front. Pace car is in, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Dustin Markham will lead them back to the green flag side by side with Richard Brose.
Kevin Scott Nelson, Edward Bray down on that inside lane. 2 of KMA Racing's very topmost drivers. I've seen Edward Bray take it home. Now, Edward Bray, a little interesting fact about Edward, he uses that Oculus, and he swears by it. Does the Oculus, you think, give you an upper edge in iRacing?
I think it does. Personally, I really want to try it and get one and see what it's all about, but really I think it does just because of a little bit more of an in-car feel. Triple screens are amazing. Single screens, I will never go back to it. Trips are awesome. Oculus, I think, might be just a little bit better, but I know it requires a lot more from a computer, so that's really my next step up. I think if Edward really swears by it just as big as what everybody else is telling me, I think I'll trust Ed and go out and buy one.
Well, I tell you what, we got some good stuff right here on that inside lane in car with Gary Whitmer, and he is on the rear end of Edward Bray, and Edward Bray is on the rear end of Kevin Scott Nelson. So we've got 3 KMA drivers lined up. Now we just did see up in that right corner, that left corner, Dustin Markham flirting with that yellow line. Talk to me about that yellow line. She don't like to be flirted with.
No, you can't touch that woman. No, she absolutely hates anybody that touches her. And, you know, just the slightest little tick, a little bit too sideways, a little bit too rough, it will bite you like nobody's business. It'll put you into the car next to you. It'll put you into the inside wall, and it takes nothing but a little bit too much of an inch. Really, that line is very dangerous for a lot of drivers.
29 drivers still out here on that lead lap. Donald Stewart, first driver, 1 lap down in the number 78.
There's quite a few drivers, though, that are 1 lap down, 6 to be exact. You saw that a lot of them were either 1 lap down when that caution ended up flying, and there were only 3, I believe, that ended up taking that wave by, which means they did not stop. So going to be interesting to see whether or not they get a lucky break and end up having a caution here within the next 5 laps or so, or if they might end up another lap down just within a few laps.
Donald Stewart, Michael Johnson, Lloyd Saunders, Travis Zedema, 1 lap down, along with Scott Leitner, Craig Covington, John Hedrick, and David Johnson. Drivers 1 lap down. David Johnson actually 3 laps down. Brian Bizzle with Covington Motorsports, our 29th driver, but on that lead lap, and he is 4.7 seconds off of our race leader.
Yeah, you really have 2 primary packs right now. This is kind of the racing that we usually see here at Talladega. You have a pack that's about 3 seconds back, and then you have a pack that's, well, the primary pack that really extends about a second to a second and a half out, and that's really kind of what separates and deviates what's going on throughout the field.
Want to give one more shout out there to the painters out there. Tough looking paints, to tell you what. John Hedrick, Over the Top Paints and Designs, our sponsor for tonight's race. Big shout out there to John Hedrick. Check him out on Facebook at the Paint Shop. The Paint Shop on Facebook. Gary Whitmer, the number 9, position 9, number 52, racing it up with Travis Browder and James Brown. Travis Browder, hot and heavy in that hornet's nest, but refusing to take it 3 wide. Oh, there goes the 224, and we are 3 wide with the 224 and Edward Bray and Travis Browder. 3 wide action. They're getting racy.
A little bit of 3 wide, a little bit of door banging right there.
Tyler Chalk getting banged up a little bit. But I tell you what, he did a great job of saving that.
Amazing job by all the drivers. Ended up making it through 3 wide like that, especially with it being that down and close with everybody else.
Jeff T. Martin still out there on that lead lap, 1.3 seconds back. Becky Whitmer rooting on father and son. All right, well, let's see where father and son. Gary Whitmer is in 12th position, and Gary Whitmer not far behind in position 16. So they are within a stone's throw of one another, and a stone's throw of that leader at 1.3 seconds back. The Whitmers have done a great job out here tonight, as well as all of the drivers out here tonight. All right, let's talk about who you think is going to win. We know we got Becky rooting on Gary and Gary. We've got Rednecks out there rooting on Jeff T. Martin for the win. Who do you think, Cody? Who do you think is going to bring her home and win the 4th annual Spooktecular?
You know, I've got a lot of confidence in the guy that's leading the race right now. Ben Gear has worked his way back up from the back of the pack and all the way back up to the first. He was sitting 14th during that restart and ended up getting a couple of lucky breaks, but at the same time, a lot of drive out of that driver right now. Number 11, Ben Gear, definitely has my vote for tonight's win.
Alrighty, I'm going to have to do a little arguing with you here right there. I'm thinking I'm going to put my bets on Travis. You know, Travis is coming off a hot win last night at Kansas. He's coming in with a good attitude. He's coming in with a good set of a vehicle here. So I'm going to have to go out for Travis Browder tonight.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a lot of Travis up towards the front of the pack, but, you know, a lot like Kevin Harvick, as much as most people might not like him or do like him, whatever your preference is. I do know that his nickname has always been the closer, and right now Travis closing in on that first spot as he is now sitting in third.
He's going to have to work his way around Dustin Markham. Now, you would think that I would have probably picked Dustin Markham for that win. But I tell you what, you know, he's led 21 laps here. He's going to be hard to get around, but the last place that I want to be with 30 to go is in first place. I don't want to be up there. You've got a big target on your back. I'm not very comfortable leading the race with 30 to go.
Yeah, that's always one of those sketchy moments right there. Most of the time the person in the lead with, you know, even 10 to go usually is not the winner. Especially here at Talladega. I mean, there's so many swaps that goes on throughout the drive of a race. We have the swap for the lead, and it looks like a wreck in the back of the pack there.
No caution is flying, though, and Travis Browder taking the lead. Got around the number 2 Playboy of Dustin Markham, actually pretty easy. We are 3 wide up in front with Edward Bray. But Dustin Markham has fallen to second position. Travis Browder taking the lead on lap 72. Ben Gear still strong, but he is on that inside lane with pretty much nowhere to go as he is side by side with the Reaper himself, number 66. But look at that, 38. 38 of Samuel Given. Leaving that door wide open there for Edward Bray. Edward Bray not taking it.
Good solid 3-wide action right there, as that was kind of the race for the lead right now, as Travis Browder is now actually in the lead. Now it looks like it's going to be kind of up to whoever wants to try to pass that tandem on the outside. Tyler Chalk, good driver, solid. He's shown a lot of speed earlier on in the race, and it looks like he might have enough speed, just enough to make it around Travis, maybe for the pass for the lead. Don't know if he's going to be able to complete the pass completely and get down in front of him, though.
Always Travis gets up there in front. Travis stays up there in front. But, you know, we still got the game changer. We have still got one more round of green flag pit stops. And any point in time right now, these drivers can go in. So, again, another question. Do you hold out for green flag racing and green flag pit stops? Do you predict another caution? Do you drain the tank? Do you go in early?
It's all solid and serious questions right now. I again stick with my theory of, if you can get enough drivers to go in, go in. If you can't, I would definitely be staying with as many cars as possible, as big of a pack as possible.
Contact with the 28 and the number 2. That'll slow you down.
That'll definitely make some heads turn, and that's wow, I can't believe that wasn't a wreck.
That was the number 38. I think I said the 28, but the number 38 of Samuel Given making contact there with Dustin Markham. And you can see just the paint. Nothing major, no aerodynamic damage, no body damage other than just a little bit of superficial paint work. But I tell you what, it is heating up here.
Yeah, it's definitely getting hot down on that track, and yeah, it's a little bit warm up here too. I don't know about you, but I am starting to sweat, as it looks like somebody may have blown their motor. 38 Samuel Given may have lost an engine.
Tough break for Samuel Given, and he is off that track. Might have been, there's the caution. Number 20. I am showing the number 20 of Joshua Albanese. Having a few issues as well. He looks pretty beat up. I tell you what, you know, he's put up a good, strong fight tonight. He's started back there in the rear of the field, one lap down. Not quite sure exactly what threw that caution out there. Possibly the truck stopped there onto the backstretch, but nonetheless, we are underneath what will be our 4th caution of the night. And Travis Browder out there in front. Now this changes everything, Cody. Talk to us about how this and the pit stops, it's a whole new ball game.
It really is, too. I mean, there really is a lot of strategy that's going on in these guys' heads right now. I mean, I know everybody's going to pit. There's really no question about that. If you need fuel, you're going to pit in. If you don't, and you were one of the few that may have pitted earlier, this might be your lucky break. This might be your chance and your time to shine here. You'll be up in front. See if you can stay up there. Travis Browder, I know he's quick at his pit stops, usually pretty decent at them, so it's going to see whether or not he ends up coming out in first. Right now, it's all on those pit crews, though. How you park in your box is going to be how fast you end up coming off of pit road. This is the point in which you do not want to make a mistake. 24 laps to go. There is a possibility you'd be able to make it from the back to the front, but most of the time it's quite hard to.
All right, you had mentioned that everybody's going to pit. I tend to disagree. We have got the number 78 of Donald Stewart, 1 lap down, staying out. Michael Johnson, 1 lap down, staying out. Lloyd, as well as the number 13, staying out. Joshua, 1 lap down, going into pit row. So these drivers, Donald, Michael, Lloyd, Travis, Craig, John Hedrick, they're going to try to get their laps back.
That's pretty much all you can do right now. When you're sitting in their positions, that's just about it. You really can't do anything outside of that. I'm sure they probably ended up doing pit stops early or something like that. If they have enough to go to the end, then this will be their chance to get back on that lead lap and more than likely contend for win, top 10, top 5. I mean, really anything can happen. It's Talladega.
Talladega indeed. And I want to talk to Jason Covington. He's been doing a hell of a job out here tonight. How about it, Jason Covington? Jason Covington, have you got a copy?
I sure do.
Well, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Wonderful.
I tell you what, I am sure seeing a lot of these great-looking Covington trucks out here. Covington Motorsports, talk to us about it.
Well, it's just a little group of friends we got together and get out here and have a lot of fun.
All right, and I tell you what, that's got to give you a lot of pride out there, seeing 5 or 6 trucks out there with your name up. But it's also got to be a bigger pride out here racing with your dad. Talk to me about that father-son combination.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. My brother actually races too. Dustin's my brother, so yeah, we all of us run and we have a lot of fun doing it.
All right, so there are 3 Covingtons out on this track.
Yep.
Do you think you can bring home a 1, 2, 3 Covington win tonight?
We gonna try. I think my dad actually got a lap down though, so I don't know if he can get his lap back or not.
All right, well I tell you what, you're going to be lining up in a good place there with Brian Bizzle. Do you think we've seen the last of the cautions out here tonight?
I hope so, but I'm sure there's probably at least one more in the bag.
All right, copy that. All right, good luck to you, Jason.
Thank you.
Jason Covington out there tonight, racing with dad and brother. Way cool stuff right there, but Dustin Markham, Ben Gear's back up there to position 2. I don't know, the creature may have something for him, Cody.
Oh man, it is a tough one to try to call right now. You do actually have all 3 Covingtons now currently on the lead lap. I do know Craig will be getting his weight by here within the next 1 to 2 laps. So that's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's going to be able to make up anything out of that. I know he will be starting towards the back of the pack, but man, Talladega, it is such a tough one to call, especially sitting right in the positions we're sitting in. I mean, everybody's going to be good on fuel if they did end up stopping within the last 8 laps. And if you didn't, oh man, it's going to be a rough ride for you guys.
Time for one more very quick interview. How about it, Gary Whitmer Sr.? Have you got a copy?
Yeah, I do, Scott.
All righty, how you holding up out there? Long race tonight.
Yeah, it's been a good race, so I'm doing pretty good.
All righty, now you got your son out there to help you out. He's up there in front a little bit. What kind of feeling is that to be out here racing along with your son and having Mom Whitmer watching as well?
Well, I guess I got a crowd watching then, don't I?
That's just a little fan club right there.
Yeah.
All right, you are looking very sharp out there in that great-looking paint job by Over the Top Paints and Designs. With 22 to go, what's on your mind? 22 to go, and you're in position 23. You got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay back here till maybe lap 12 or 15.
All right, and that is the go time, get her done laps.
Yep. We'll see what happens then.
All right, good luck to you, Gary.
All right, thank you, Scott.
All right, now, Cody, we did mention 22 laps to go, but from a driver's standpoint, in reality, how long is 22 to go?
See, you never want to count the last 5 laps, because if there's a caution in the last 5 laps, you can't count on it. So more than likely, those last 5 laps, you don't want to count going green. So realistically, it's 17 laps, and then the last 17 laps turns into more like 10 laps, because you usually have about 7 laps where you're kind of on that dry spell. So you got 10 laps to try to figure out where you want to be for the last remaining section of the race. Really, you want to break that up into the last 5 laps. And that's just kind of to figure out who you're going to work with to try to use up those 5 laps to work on the 7 laps. I mean, really, it's going to be an enormous and huge responsibility just within the next 5 laps just to figure out where you want to be at. And then you got to try to go from there. And, I mean, it seems a lot simpler when you say, oh, we got 22 to go. But in all reality, these drivers' minds, it's go time. It is 110%, no laying back, all take, no give, go time.
Unfortunately, Jeff T. Martin out of tonight's race, caught up in the big one along with Samuel Given. But we still have 34 drivers out here on tonight's race. 33 drivers out there, 32 as we do get updated. Okay, 28 drivers out there on that lead lap. So 28 drivers still going to go balls to the wall. Lap 79 of 100 in the 4th annual KMA Spooktecular.
Still a huge field for coming down towards the end of a race like this. I mean, most of the time you're down to your final 20, 15 drivers. And, I mean, to think that there's still 28 drivers on this single track, I mean, coming down to 20 to go, it's scary impressive.
Now, I tell you what, 1 week from tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special event coming to you again. It will be the Salute the Troops. We are going to have a Veterans Day race brought to you by Blacktown. And Cody, that one's going to be done a little bit different. It's going to be an enduro race. Not 100 laps. Not 125 laps. We are going 150 laps of Daytona in the big boy toys. I tell you what.
Those Gen 6 cars, man, they're a lot of fun, especially when you get them going 200 plus miles per hour around Daytona. It's tight on there. You know, Talladega, you got a lot of room. This time, we're going to have to see what happens here with Dustin Markham. Not going to have the tight spaces, but at the same time, Talladega, here we go.
Richard Brose, amazing job out here tonight, still in 3rd. Ben Gear, wow, 21 laps led.
Make that 22 as he crosses the line in 1st, gets a huge jump on Dustin Markham.
Oh, easy,
now
Richie.
It looks like, yeah, Richie's going to go a little bit low on there. Almost turning Ben Gear there.
He was right there on that turn corner.
Yeah, that just ends up getting a little bit too tight, a little bit too hairy, and now it looks like they're back to side-by-side racing. Ben Gear had a good chance to jump down in front of Dustin Markham, but that outside line, it gets huge runs at times, and oh man, I don't know. I probably would have been able to take that spot down very quickly.
Edward Bray still up here in the running, as well as James Brown. Rodney Morris back in position 8. Travis Browder has dropped to position 9 on the rear end of the number 41 Rodney. Rodney looking like he might want to go 3 wide, but you got to have somebody to go 3 wide. When is it time to go 3 wide?
Probably say the last 10 or 12 laps. Really, you kind of got to be specific on that one, just because you don't want to go into your 5-lap buffer, but at the same time, you got to make sure you have plenty of drivers that are willing to go with you at that point in time. It looks like he's up on the 3rd lane now. 07 of Tyler Chalk up on that third lane, and coming down. Now it looks like we're going to get a little bit tight, a little bit racy going across with Tyler Chalk, the number 5 and the number 9, I believe that is.
I tell you what, a few of these guys right now are all fully prepared to get up into that go time. It is lap 81, 19 to go. Now put that into real time. We're looking at about 17 and a half minutes. Slower traffic staying below that yellow line. Thank you, driver. Still a ton of truck out there, Cody.
There are so many drivers out on this super speedway right now. It is literally anybody's race as long as they can keep it clean. I mean, there are so many tight moves right now that are being made, a lot of bumping, a lot of shoving. Like I said, a lot of take, not a lot of give, and it could end a couple drivers' nights before the end of this race.
Wait, I'll tell you, to tell you how close this is, looking at position 16, he is 0.9 seconds away from our race leader. Position 23rd, position 22, 1.6 seconds back. So, 23rd, 22nd position, Brandon Dorsett, he's still not out of it.
No, he is definitely not out of it, and in fact, I would probably say he's well in it yet, as, a lot of these drivers, that's only looking at 22 of the 28 drivers that are on the lead lap right now, and realistically, just about anybody within those 28 could possibly win it. Now, I would definitely like to try to keep, the up front guys up front and the in back guys in back, but realistically, there is no gap there. I mean, you look at about 1/10 of a second, that can be differed just with the snap of a finger.
Big shout out there to Michelle McMaster Eisenhower peeking in on that KMA TV chat. Good to see Michelle. Michelle, a huge friend of Pad. People gets distracted driving. Just a reminder, folks, 1 week from tomorrow night, on the first Sunday of the month, our monthly race for Pad. People gets distracted driving. Check them out at padd.org. We are on lap 84 of 100. Ben Gear, Dustin Markham, Richard Brose, Sean Dower, Jack Watts, our top 5.
Looking extremely good right now, side-by-side action. It looks like it's a little bit on the hairy side every once in a while, as there's a little bit of 3 wide right there. Dustin Covington trying to stick his nose in between a gap that I don't think would have made it, but he was able to back that one out and go back into that second line. Second line's really moving quite well right now.
Well, I tell you what, I may have fired Jason up, because he is leading himself and Dustin Covington up through this pack. Jason in 10th, Dustin Covington sitting in 8th position.
Yeah, but right now that guy that started on the outside line on that restart, Ben Gear, still maintaining that outside line, maintaining the outside drive, and really doing a phenomenal job just staying up there right now.
Alrighty, I tell you what, I got a question here for our fans, race fans. I want to hear from you. Who do you think has been the hardest working driver out here tonight? Because I tell you what, Dustin Markham, he's been going along. Ben Gear, Richie B, Edward Bray, Jack Watts, Travis Browder. Who do you think is going to win the hardest working driver award, if we had one? I'd like to hear from the fans out there on that KMA TV chat. All these drivers have worked hard tonight, but tell me who you think your hardest working driver is tonight.
I mean, really, man, there's just so many drivers to choose from. I mean, you got the driver that has gone up 23 spots tonight, Jason Hughes. He's worked his butt off to get up there. And then you've got the driver that has led the most laps, which I believe is Dustin Markham. The driver that has led the second most laps, Ben Gear. The driver that has been in second the most, Richard Brose, the high side hustler, as you would call him, I guess. Sean Dowers, constantly been up there. Another driver that has been up there a lot tonight, Edward Bray. I mean, your top 5, those are your top 5 right now. Dustin Markham, Richard Brose, Sean Dower, Edward Bray. I mean, those drivers have done an absolutely fantastic job. And then the driver that has came out of nowhere, Jack Watts and Travis Browder, those two not been up towards the front until the recent last 20 or 30 laps. So good to see them up here. Going to make the final fight to the finish very interesting to see at bare minimum.
Well, Rednecks Racing talking about Jack Watts being his favorite hard-working man out there. And Jack Watts on that inside lane onto the rear end of the number 62, side by side with Richard Brose, and Jack Watts in position 6th, but only because he's on that inside lane. So right now we are at 12 to go. Oh, all right, Jack Watts needs to get it going to the front, but there's nowhere to go. He's down on that inside lane. Richie B in a very good spot to go 3 wide, bring her home tonight, but he's going to have a pusher, and he's got Edward Bray hot on his heels. I bet you if Richie goes up, Edward will go.
I could almost guarantee it, but at the same time, they are pushing Ben Gear, which is in the same exact TeamSpeak channel as those the two behind them, so they might end up having a pusher for the win. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other confusing obstacles that are in the way of tonight's win. Ben Gear winning that lap by quite a bit. Almost half a tenth on that one.
Well, I was just going to say, that outside lane looked like it fell apart there momentarily, but Ben Gear bringing it back. Sean Dower in the old school's number 62 still in it to win it. I still think Dustin Markham, caution is out.
Looks like we got the 56 turned around there. Going to have to go take a look at the replay, see what actually happened.
Looking at the number 56 and the number 58. All right, so we were 3 wide action here with the 56, 58 up there on the outside. Looks almost like the number 56. He was down into that middle groove, 58's up into that high groove, and 56 coming up a lane. Well, I'm thinking getting into the number 58. 56 up into the lane of the number 58. That'll be Kerry Allen Stewart and the number 58 of Jason Hughes. Jason not looking too worse for wear.
Nah, it just looks like a little bit of right side damage, but most of it just ended up being brought on to Kerry. And man, unfortunate event to happen within this few of laps, but we did expect something to happen. I didn't think it would be like that, though.
Very interesting turn of events. That'll be the 5th caution with 10 to go. Ooh, I don't know, Cody. Now, oftentimes when we have a late caution like this, in the beginning, an early caution will settle you down. But when it's 10 to go, I don't know if these drivers are going to settle down or not.
I am doubting a lot of that. I mean, settling down right now, it's not possible. You've got 10 laps to go. You're going to be coming back to the green flag more than likely with 6 or 5 laps remaining. There's just so much on the line, so few laps to go. You've got to push it for all it's worth. And right now, Dustin Markham, Sean Dower, those two have not been separated since, I believe, like lap 50 or something like that. And now, outside versus inside, ooh boy.
All right, gives us a chance to talk to a couple of more drivers. Joining us in the booth is James Brown. How about it, James Brown? You got a copy?
Well, hi, Mr. Kulovic. How are you?
Well, hi, Mr. Brown. How are you?
I'm great, sir. It's good to be back.
It is. We have missed you. What are you thinking about tonight's race so far?
I'm liking it. This has been quite enjoyable. Racing with a bunch of good guys, and just happy to be racing with KMA, man.
All right, and now you are in position 7th. Is this where you want to be with going on a restart of what, about 7 to go? Are you in a happy spot right now to win?
I am. I'm in a happy spot. I'm going to take whatever is given me. I'm not going to push for much, and by golly, if I can get behind Mr. Bray there and push him to the win, I'll be glad to do that.
All righty, sounds like a good deal. Now, the next subject I want to talk to you about, talking about those purple rims on that number 33. I know you've got very high thoughts about Pad, and you've got some personal opinions about Pad. Talk to us real quick about your thoughts on that subject.
Well, I love the distracted driver, or no distracted driving pad, which that's what they represent, and of course the purple rims is a pad insignia, I guess you would say, and we're all for pad.
Alrighty, and we are getting ready to have our monthly race for pad 1 week from tomorrow night. Now, I hear you got some affiliation with Max Mount, is that correct?
Yes, and Max Mount is a hands-free device for your cell phone, which of course goes hand in hand with the pad, the distracted driving or undistracted driving.
All right, copy that. Max Mount and pad working hand in hand to keep you alive. All right, James, it's go time. What are you going to do?
I'm going, like I said, I'm going to take whatever's given tonight. I'm not going to be too aggressive, and probably hope Ed can open up a hole, and I'll follow him through.
All righty, sounds like you're the man with a plan. Good luck to you, James Brown.
Thank you, Scott.
Almost had a bit of a rhyme going there, Cody. All right,
Almost.
Almost, not quite. Taking a look at our top 10. Gary Whitmer Jr. Talk to me about some of these drivers in our top 10, Cody.
The top 10, it is full of great talents right now. Gary Whitmer Jr., I would definitely like to be in just about any outside driver's position. Gary's got a very good chance if he decides to go up 3 wide with Travis. I'm sure Travis is more than willing to go to the outside with them. Dustin Covington, though, inside position 9, I've got a good feeling if he can get to the outside, that's the way to go. But really, that inside line, I don't think it's going to hold out for much. James O'Brown, though, we just talked to him. He's got a pretty good plan. Get to the outside with Ed and see if Ed can open up a few holes. Edward Bray sitting in P6. He's sitting, that second row back. That's really kind of the third row back, my bad. Third row back outside, going to be a good chance for him to open up that throttle and see where he can go from there. Richard Brose, inside line, not used to being inside line with this few laps to go. Going to see how he tries to work his way to the outside. Jack Watts, outside line, position 4th. Really like his spot. He's going to be pushing and pretty well determining on what happens to Sean Dower, whether or not he ends up winning the race or losing the race, really. I mean, Sean Dower has a lot of credit to either give or take from Jack Watts right now. Hopefully he made good friends with him. Ben Gear sitting in 3rd. Got a lot to do with what happens with Dustin Markham, but really that 3rd place spot, we saw it earlier, does not usually move a whole lot. Going to have to see what happens there. Sean Dower sitting in P2. Going to be interesting. Might be able to pull off a win if he gets the right push from Jack. And Dustin Markham, man, that P1 spot, I don't like it whatsoever. That is always the most nail-biting position to be in, especially with this few laps to go. Going to be interesting to see whether or not he's able to pull it off or not. I don't know. It's really kind of up to the drivers behind him, not really up to him.
Well, I tell you what, you brought up an interesting point here with Dustin Markham. Now, you and I have raced together a long time, and we have won many a race not qualifying, starting in the rear end of the field. Earlier this week, I witnessed Kevin Scott Nelson not qualify. He was back in the rear of that field, and towards the end of the race, he started working himself up there. Can't remember where he finished up exactly. I think he might have won one this week, if I remember correctly. Might have been last week. But nonetheless, Kevin Scott Nelson, another driver who does not care about leading any lap than that last one. But here we sit with Dustin Markham leading 32 laps, Ben Gear leading 27 laps. I don't know. I do not know about Dustin, if he's in a happy spot or not. I think he is a marked man.
Yeah, really, I'm seeing the same. I mean, he qualified first, did a great job on staying up front, stuff like that. But Sean Dower sitting in P2, I'm liking his spot a little bit more. He did not qualify, started 24th, worked his way up through the field as best and fast as possible. And, man, sitting P2, I still don't even know if I like that one all that much.
Well, I tell you what, if nothing else can be said about Dustin Markham, I will say he wins the Prettiest Truck Award in the Playboy #2. Have you found a favorite truck out here, Cody? Fans, have you found a favorite truck out here? Talk to me on that KM8 TV chat. What was your favorite truck out here? Mine would have been the Playboy and the Chucky truck. What about you, Cody?
I was really liking the Ben Gears truck. I was liking the Black Lagoon Creature. I mean, the whole truck design was really nice, and it's really nice to be able to see the design and the very individual specs that were able to go into that truck.
Pace car is in, and away we go, ladies and gentlemen, for hopefully our final green flag run. Lap 93, taking lap 94. It'll be 6 to go, and away we go, Cody.
Dustin Markham really holding it all the way up until the green flag drops. Now he's off to the races, and it looks like he's almost threatened to try to take that outside line away, as it looked like he was going to go up a little bit further up the track. Now it looks like the remainder of the field will end up catching him right here, as it looks like he's going to go to the... Oh, wow.
Whoa, now was that a block, or did he just about lose control?
I'm pretty sure that was a block there,
it done
Scott.
screwed him up. It done screwed him up.
It messed a lot of people up here. Now that outside line, 4 or 5 cars looks like they're going to break away, as it looks like Richard Brose now having a good shot at going to the outside.
Sean Dower.
Yeah, Sean Dower up in the lead. Looks like he's going to have a phenomenal restart, along with the 66 of Edward Bray and the 51 of Travis Browder.
And Jack Watts is up there on that inside lane. I don't know what happened there with Dustin Markham. I don't know if that was block. I don't know if that was a spasm, a seizure. So, caution is out. Looking at the number 63, we're going to go on and look at the number 63. 3, 4, 5 cars involved. We had a car up into the wall. There it is. There was a driver into the wall. Ooh, looks like one of those Covington trucks into the wall. Tough break. Lap 95, late unexpected caution. That'll be our 6th caution of the night. That'll change everything.
Yeah, that is,
That's
wow.
a game changer.
Not only is that a game changer, but that changed a lot of people's positions there in a very short amount of time, and now we're going to have a restart on top of that. Oh boy!
Alrighty, well I tell you what, Cody. While these drivers do straighten this out, I want to take one quick commercial break for Pad, and we'll be right back with you momentarily.
This is fun. Probably pretty close to that. 1 to 2. Really depends on whether or not they got the 2 to green or not. A little bit, it's not showing too much though. Got it. Oh, definitely not too scary, but definitely exciting. I mean, especially the excitement right now coming down to what should be our final restart of the night. It is going to be a blast. I mean, we've already had 35 lead changes and at least 15 to 20 of those have came in the last 25 laps. So, man, it's been exciting for the last couple stints of this race.
How's it going, Scott? Well, if we do get the 2 to green, we pass the start-finish line, we will have a 1-lap shootout. So right now it all depends on who all pitted. And so we will know here shortly. It's a Halloween truck is what it's supposed to be. Did a little bit of the evil Joker clown theme, so just a big support of the Spooktecular that we always put on. And looks like the race will be over, Scott. We did not get the 2 to green. That is correct. So Sean Dorr will be the winner of the race. Yeah, exactly. Well, it was very interesting. Missed a couple wrecks. Got lucky and was glad to get back up here to the front and support KMA in a second place finish. No, negative. That is not second. Yes, sir, it is. Yeah, Black Talon, which is myself and Lee Staples. We're sponsoring Veterans Day race. It's a little early and all that, so we can make sure we have a big showing. It's going to be at Daytona in the Cup cars, 150 laps. So, big shout out to all the veterans, and hopefully we get a lot of us veterans participating in the race next weekend.
All right, going to be a big one. But, you chose this race, and you initially wanted it at 200, and I talked you down. I don't know if I can do 200 laps in the broadcast. But at 150 laps, it's going to be a bit of an endurance race, is it not?
Yes, it is. If we can go green flag, there'll be a lot of pit stops, a lot of pit strategies that should be playing out. So the field should break out a lot. We should see a lot of teams working together, and I'm hoping for a great race next weekend. A lot of green flag racing.
All righty, congratulations on your number 2 position tonight, Edward Bray.
Thank you.
All right, Cody, so that'll put Jack Watts sitting in 3rd position. I'm going to let you talk to him once I find him. There he is. All right. How about it, Jack? You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jack, man, great race. Starting 4th, ended up falling back a little ways, coming back up through the field. Oh, man, 3rd place, so close. How'd you do it?
I just try to stay out of trouble was my biggest thing. Staying out of trouble, just kind of running with the pack and hoping for the best.
3rd place, I mean, I thought you were like 6th, 7th, 8th on back on that restart, though. Unfortunate caution to end the race, but at the same time, must have been pretty fortunate for you to be able to get that break right before it, though. I mean, talk to me through that restart. I mean, it just seemed hectic.
Yeah, that restart, I was trying to push Sean as hard as I could to get him to the front, and that way I had a chance to get to the front. The caution came out right after that. I don't know where Edwards snuck up from, but he got right there. Somehow he's ahead of me. I'm not sure how, but I pushed Sean as hard as I could to the front, and that's where we ended up 3rd place.
Definitely an awesome job. Great job done by all the Southeast Motorsports drivers down there in your room. Any final words, any final thanks, or anything like that?
Yeah, I just want to thank my team, Southeast Motorsports, of course, Jeff Martin for being my spotter right there, and we were just trying to get there, man. We were trying like hell, but just thanks my team for all they've done for me.
All right, well, I tell you what, you're not going to get off the hook that easy, Jack. You got to talk about Rednecks Racing because he's been out there on that KMA TV chat rooting you on all night. Who is Rednecks Racing? Should be Doug Turner.
I'm not even. Oh, Doug Turner. Yeah, that's my painter. That's a lot of painters. The guy who paints a lot of our team. Doug Turner's a badass dude. He's fun. He's a good time. Thanks, Doug Turner, for painting this truck up. We got you in a 3rd, man. We try to get you better.
All righty.
He's part of our team.
All righty, and I see that little logo down there dominating the track. And Jack Watts, you didn't lead any laps, but you survived 6 cautions, 35 lead changes, and you came out in 3rd. You're looking pretty in that pad truck.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And remember, just do not get on the phone and stuff like that when you're on the road.
Especially this time of year, because we got a lot of little goblins out there.
Absolutely.
All righty, congratulations there to Jack Watts.
Now you mentioned 35 lead changes tonight, and now, Scott, you get to talk to the man who led a lot of laps, but at the same time was the one that ended up getting the final lead change of the race.
Well, that's the only one that matters. How about it, Sean Dower?
Man, I've been trying to keep my composure, but, you know, to win a race here at KMA, I've only done it, I think, twice before, and it's just, it's almost like, you know, the Daytona win at the beginning of the season. It's just one you want to grab, and especially with this, the 4th annual, you know, that y'all have put up here, it's just even better.
All righty, well, I tell you what, we appreciate you being here and listening to your voice, looking at your truck, down onto that tailgate. It's the mellow yellow, and you sound mellow, but on the inside, are you trembling just a little bit?
Man, I'm in the channel with Dustin and Edward Bray, and, you know, and they're all talking about what they're going to do, and I'm thinking, okay, well, as long as KMA wins, I'm okay with that, and everything's great, you know. And then they had that start, and the 11 just didn't catch it right away, and Jack just, you know, Jack's the one who pushed me up there, and like I said, it's a big shout out to Jack Watts. He's always a blast to run around with, him and Travis. But I always have a good time here with you guys at KMA, man. It's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Now, well, thanks for being here. Now, talk to us a little bit about the competition you had, because, you know, Dustin Markham, I thought for sure I was going to interview Dustin or Travis or especially Ben Gear. Now, you've been around these guys. You've basically been in bed with these guys for the last 113 minutes. How did they treat you out there tonight?
Oh, man. You know how you get that feeling when you're running and you are, whether you're just an inch away or not, there was never not one point that I was ever worried, you know, whether it be Edward, whether it be Dustin, Jack, Travis, all those guys, I know that I can get within an inch of these guys, you know, just because I've raced around them so long, and every one of them are probably some of the best racers I've ever raced around. So you get that feeling of comfortableness, you know, when you're running around some of these guys and there's no worries, you know. So that was the last thing I was worried about. So yeah, these guys are great.
All right, well, I tell you what, you did a hell of a job. Congratulations to Sean Dower in the number 62 with Old Schools, winning the 4th annual KMA Racing Spooktecular, brought to you by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Good job, Sean Dower.
Thank you, man. Great to be here.
All right, now, Cody, I do want to get one more interview in. He's my favorite little buddy. Good driver. How about it, Tebow?
Hey, Scott.
Hey, we're giving you a special interview tonight, Travis. I tell you what, 4th place. What are you thinking, buddy?
Fun race. I was hoping we ended under green, but it is what it is. You know, I stayed in it. I got involved in on that incident there on the backstretch because I was working with Richie B most of the race because we thought about working together tonight, so we did. So much fun. Green flag pit stops earlier in the race, and hey, never gave up. We got 4th place in this over the top paints and designs. Happy Halloween, M&M Soda Toner from John Hendrick tonight.
All righty, copy that. Good job, Travis. Love you, buddy.
Thank you, Scott. I love you too, man. It's been a fun night.
All right, Cody, sum us up here, buddy.
Man, it's been a heck of a race. I mean, 35 lead changes. We got a little bit of a caution filled at the end, but still not bad at all. 7 cautions over 21 caution laps. 35 lead changes again. I mean, the last one was all they needed, and man, just one more lap and that race could have ended under green. It was just so close and so tight. Awesome racing. A lot of drivers. Even now, finishing out that race, there was still 24 drivers on the lead lap and only 27 one lap down. I mean, there's just so many drivers out on that course that it was just amazing to see.
Tell you what, I was very impressed, very happy with the results out here tonight. Sean Dower, Edward Bray, and Jack Watts. Now that's a pretty picture right there at that start-finish line. 62, 66, and 77. Bringing it home tonight. Not really a bad race at all. Now, Cody, here in a couple weeks, 1 week from tomorrow night, we're going to be doing our pad race. I would love to drag you out of retirement one more time. Give that some thought. But I do appreciate you coming up here and joining us tonight for this very special KM8 racing event.
I'm just so glad I was able to make it out tonight. I mean, there's always other stuff that I could do, but there's just no way I would be able to miss a 4th annual Spooktecular.
Alrighty, well, I tell you what, they did a good job out here. Alright, race fans, we're going to get some race results posted up for you. We appreciate you tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you for sure next Saturday in the Salute the Troops 150 laps of Daytona. I don't know, Cody, that's going to be about a 3-hour broadcast. What do you think?
That's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Scott, he is Cody, and we are out of here.
Seems he was troubled by just one thing. He opened the lid and shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvania kiss?"
It's now the mash.
It's now the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
And it's a graveyard smash.
It's now the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
It's now the mash.
It's now the Monster Mash. Now everything's cool, Jack's a part of the band. And my Monster Mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them Boris sent you.
Then you can mash.
Then you can Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
And do my graveyard
Then
smash.
you can mash.
You'll catch on in a
Then
flash.
you can mash.
Then you can Monster Mash. Oh, mash good. Easy, Igor, you impetuous young boy. Mash good, mash good.